looks pretty quiet.
Wes might have left town by now.
Well, maybe. If I were Wes, I'd hide him somewhere until things cooled off.
Only one way to find out.
A moment can change everything, and in Heartland Season 19, Episode 10, that moment arrives fast. As the dust settles over the ranch, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Forgiveness isn't a choice anymore. It's the only way forward. Georgie, Amy, and the entire Heartland family stand on the edge of decisions that may reshape their lives forever. And it all begins with a single emotional turning point. The episode opens with a quiet tension that hangs in the air like a storm waiting to break. Heartland feels different, heavier, slower, as if everyone is holding their breath. Georgie walks across the yard, her steps unsure, her eyes locked on Phoenix. He is there, but not the same. His injury, his struggle, his new limits, they create a distance between the horse she knew and the horse standing before her now. And in that distance sits all the fear she doesn't want to say out loud. We see the way she tries to be strong. She reaches for Phoenix, runs her hand gently down his neck, and whispers something only he can hear. But behind her steady voice lies a storm of guilt and heartbreak. She wants to fix everything. She wants to run back to the past. But the past isn't waiting for her. Phoenix's condition forces her to face a truth she has never faced before. Sometimes love means accepting what you can't change. Meanwhile, the rest of the family senses the shift. Jack watches Georgie from a distance, knowing that this kind of pain is something each person must walk through in their own way. Amy, trying to stay steady, pushes down her worries about the ranch, the horses, and the choices waiting for her. Lou and Tim feel the pressure too, each carrying their own quiet battles. The whole ranch seems to be holding its breath, waiting for a sign, a solution, a spark that will tell them what comes next. But the world outside Heartland is changing too. Rumors grow louder, questions hang in the air. The mystery of the Rustlers, the tension in the community, and the fear of what might be coming next hover over the ranch like dark clouds. Everything is connected. Georgie's struggle with Phoenix, Amy's crossroads, the family's uncertainty, and the secrets hiding in the shadows. And as the episode begins to unfold, it becomes clear that forgiveness is not just a title, it is the central heartbeat of everything happening. Forgiveness for the past, forgiveness for mistakes, forgiveness for the things no one could control. This moment is the calm before the storm, but the storm is coming. And when it hits, every member of the Heartland family will be forced to decide what kind of future they want to fight for. Georgie has always been fearless, a natural rider, a born competitor, someone who runs toward every challenge with fire in her eyes. But in episode 10, that fire flickers. For the first time in a long time, she feels truly powerless. And it isn't because Phoenix can't compete, it's because she can't bring herself to face what his future might look like now. The camera lingers on Phoenix as he struggles to shift his weight, a reminder of everything he has survived and everything he has lost. Georgie watches him with a mix of hope and denial, holding on to the idea that he might somehow bounce back, return to the horse he used to be. Yet every careful step he takes is a painful answer she doesn't want to hear. Inside her, frustration grows like a storm. She wants to scream at fate, at herself, at the world for being unfair. She wants someone to tell her what the right choice is. But everyone around her, Amy, Jack, even Quinn, knows that this is her journey. No one can walk it for her. And that truth only makes the weight heavier. She tries to train Phoenix again, gently, patiently, pushing herself more than she pushes him. But the moment he winces, everything inside her shatters. For a second, she sees the future she's been refusing to imagine. The competitions, the dreams, the victories they shared, they feel like echoes from another life. A life that isn't coming back. Not the same way. Maybe not at all. Georgie pulls back, breath shaking, and the world goes quiet around her. The ranch noises fade. Even the wind seems to pause. This is the moment she finally allows herself to feel the truth. Phoenix isn't broken, but things are different now. And she must learn to be different too. Amy approaches her not with answers, not with instructions, but with the kind of silence that understands. Amy knows what it means to love a horse enough to let go of the life you imagined for them. She knows how pain shapes you, how growth often comes from places you never asked to walk through. She simply stands beside Georgie, letting her know she's not alone. This is where Georgie's journey begins to change. Not because she suddenly feels strong, but because she finally stops fighting the truth. She looks at Phoenix again not as the partner she lost, but as the partner he still is. Brave, loyal, still willing to try, still giving her every piece of his heart. And in that moment, something shifts inside her. Acceptance doesn't arrive like a sunrise. It arrives like a soft, trembling breath. A quiet promise that she will find a way forward, even if it's not the way she expected. The bond between Georgie and Phoenix deepens in a new direction, less about victory, more about healing, trust, and the kind of love that grows in hard places. Georgie wipes her tears and takes one step closer to the future she's been avoiding. Not ready, but willing. And that is enough to change everything. Some secrets sit quietly in the dark, waiting for the perfect moment to strike the light. Episode 10 finally delivers that moment. The mystery of the Rustlers has hovered over Heartland like a silent predator, always close, always watching, leaving the family tense and the community uneasy. But now, for the first time, the shadows begin to move, and the truth steps forward. It starts with small signs, footprints where none should be, a broken fence that doesn't match the storm damage, the uneasy behavior of the horses when night falls. Jack notices first. His instincts, carved from years on the land, tell him something isn't right. But this time, it's not just suspicion, it's confirmation. Someone has been circling the ranch, slipping through the edges of the property, studying Heartland the way a hunter studies its prey. As clues begin to connect, the tension grows thick enough to taste. Traces of tire tracks line the far pasture. A missing chain on the equipment shed appears again, but in a place too neat, too deliberate. It feels less like a theft and more like a message. And that message becomes impossible to ignore when Amy finds a branding mark that matches one seen earlier in the season, a mark tied directly to the group responsible for the chaos that's been haunting them. With every new piece of evidence, the picture becomes clearer, and the threat feels more real. The Rustlers aren't strangers passing through. They aren't desperate drifters or one-time opportunists. They are people Heartland has unknowingly crossed paths with, people who have been closer than anyone realized. And when the identity finally comes into focus, it feels like a gut punch, a betrayal hidden in plain sight. Tim reacts with anger first, the kind that rises fast and burns hot. He wants action, wants justice, wants answers. But Jack's voice keeps the moment grounded, reminding them that confronting the truth must be done with purpose, not fury. The family gathers around the table, each face tight with worry and disbelief. For months, they've been trying to protect their home. Now they know exactly who they've been protecting it from. Amy feels it deeply, not just fear, but disappointment. Heartland has always been a place of second chances, a place where people come to heal, not to harm. The idea that someone chose to target them, to hurt their horses, to disrupt the peace they worked so hard to build, it cuts sharper than any blade. The reveal shifts everything. What was once a mystery becomes a confrontation waiting to happen. The Rustlers' identity isn't just information, it's a turning point. It forces the family to rethink their next move, their safety, their boundaries. It forces them to protect what matters most. And yet, under all the tension, something powerful begins to rise. Determination, unity, strength. The kind that only appears when danger becomes personal. Heartland has been threatened, but Heartland is not broken. Not now, not ever. The truth may have stepped out of the shadows, but the fight for justice is only beginning. Some choices whisper, others roar. For Amy, the choice waiting in episode 10 does both. It sits quietly in her mind, but every moment she spends on the ranch makes it louder. She can feel the shift coming, not because someone tells her, not because of a sudden disaster, but because her heart knows she can't stand in two worlds forever. Amy has always been the center of Heartland's healing spirit. People bring horses to her hoping she can fix what seems broken. But in this episode, the roles begin to reverse. The ranch needs her. The horses need her. Her family needs her. And yet, somewhere inside, Amy feels a pull towards something new, something she can't quite name but can no longer ignore. As she works with a difficult horse early in the episode, her hand steady and sure, a thought slips into her mind. Is this still enough? Is this still where she's meant to be? It isn't doubt. It isn't fear. It's the quiet realization that life doesn't stay still just because we want it to. And Amy, of all people, understands that growth often means leaving the familiar behind. Jack notices it first. The thoughtful silence. The way Amy pauses before answering simple questions. The long looks toward the horizon, as if she's searching for something beyond the ranch gates. He doesn't push her, but his eyes say everything. Whatever choice you make, you won't make it alone. Tim senses it too, though he hides his worry behind sharp words and restless energy. He sees the weight she's carrying and understands it more deeply than he admits. He has faced crossroads of his own, some he regrets, some he would choose again. And he knows this moment is shaping her in ways she hasn't fully seen yet. Lou asks her directly, gently, but directly, "Are you okay?" And Amy gives the kind of answer that sits between truth and avoidance. "I'm just thinking." But thinking is the first step toward changing. And everyone around her feels that shift. The reveal of the Rustlers only sharpens her dilemma. The danger, the uncertainty, the responsibility. It makes her question what her future should look like. Is she meant to stay anchored at Heartland, holding the family together? Or is she meant to step forward into something bigger, something that calls to her the same way horses always have? Late in the episode, Amy stands alone in the barn, brushing a horse with slow, careful strokes. The quiet settles around her like a blanket. She closes her eyes and breathes in the familiar smell of hay, wood, and warmth. This place is home. It always has been. But even home can be a place you grow beyond. She whispers to the horse, not asking for an answer, but finding her own. The love she has for Heartland doesn't fade. It evolves. And that evolution is leading her somewhere new, whether she's ready or not. Amy's crossroads is not a question of leaving or staying. It's a question of who she is becoming. And as episode 10 unfolds, it becomes clear the next chapter of her life won't look like the last. The world is widening around her, and Amy is finally beginning to see the path meant for her alone. Change doesn't knock at the door in episode 10, it walks straight into the Heartland kitchen and sits down at the table with everyone. The family has been through storms, loss, new beginnings, and painful goodbyes. But this time, the challenge isn't something they can solve with one decision or one strong push. This time, every single person must face a choice that could reshape the ranch and their place in it. Jack feels the shift before anyone speaks it out loud. He sits on the porch early in the morning, coffee in hand, watching the sun rise over the hills he's spent his whole life protecting. But the light feels different today, softer, uncertain. He knows the family is drifting into a moment where their paths might no longer line up perfectly. And even though he's strong enough to accept it, the thought still stings. Heartland has always been about unity. But unity doesn't mean staying the same, it means growing without falling apart. Lou, caught between leadership and motherhood, feels the pressure closing in from all sides. The town needs her. The ranch needs her. Her girls need her. She tries to balance everything, but episode 10 forces her to admit something she rarely says out loud. She can't hold every piece together forever. As she reviews papers at the dining table, her expression tightens into something between worry and determination. She wants Heartland to thrive, but she also wants her own dreams to breathe. And for the first time in a long time, she wonders if those two goals can fit together. Tim faces his own battle, one that hits harder than he expected. He built his life on confidence, bravado, and the belief that he could push through any challenge. But the Rustlers reveal the danger they brought, and the fragile state of the people he loves make him face a truth he rarely confronts. He isn't always in control. The weight of protecting the ranch presses against him like a heavy shadow. And beneath that shadow hides another fear. What if his choices lead the family down the wrong path? Even the younger generation feels the shift. Katie, Lindy, and the kids sense the quiet tension in the house. The whispered conversations, the long pauses before answers. They may not know the details, but they know that the adults are standing on uncertain ground. And in Heartland, nothing stays private for long, not feelings, not fears, not change, but despite this unease, something beautiful begins to take shape. Instead of pushing apart, the family leans closer. Conflicts soften into conversations. Doubts transform into shared understanding. Each person realizes they're not just making decisions for themselves, they're shaping the next chapter of Heartland together. Around the dinner table, the air is thick with unspoken thoughts. Jack finally breaks the silence with a simple truth. We can't hold on to what was, but we can choose what comes next. His words settle over the room like a steady promise. One by one, the family begins to open up. Lou admits her worries. Tim confesses his frustration. Amy speaks about her crossroads for the first time without hesitation. And Georgie listens, realizing she isn't the only one facing a future she didn't expect. This moment doesn't solve everything, but it does something more important. It reminds them who they are. Not perfect people, not people without fear, but a family strong enough to bend without breaking. The decisions ahead may be heavy, and the paths they choose may lead in different directions. Yet the heart of Heartland remains the same. They walk forward, not alone, but together, no matter how the future rearranges them. Some episodes end neatly, tied with a bow, wrapped in a feeling of closure. Episode 10 is not one of those episodes. Instead, it leaves the Heartland family standing at the edge of something new, something uncertain, something both frightening and full of promise. Forgiveness has been offered. Decisions have begun to take shape, and long-buried truths have finally surfaced. But nothing is settled. Not yet. As night falls over the ranch, the world grows calm in a way that feels almost unreal after the storm of emotions the day brought. The horses breathe softly in their stalls. The wind drifts across the open fields. The house glows with warm light. And still, beneath all that peace, a quiet question lingers. What comes next? Georgie steps outside for a moment, Phoenix's halter robe gently in her hand. She looks at him the way someone looks at a friend who has shared their hardest day. This new chapter with him won't be simple. It won't be familiar, but it will be theirs. For the first time, she accepts that this is not an ending, it's a beginning she never expected but is finally strong enough to face. Inside the barn, Amy stands alone again, her hand resting on a horse's shoulder as if grounding herself. The crossroads she feared earlier no longer feels like a trap. It feels like an open door. The path ahead is still cloudy, but the fear that once held her back has softened. She knows now that she can choose her future without losing the heart of who she is or the love of the place that shaped her. Jack locks up the barn for the night, taking one last look at the land. His land. His family's land. The Rustlers are no longer ghosts haunting the edge of his vision. Their reveal has changed everything. But Jack does not bow under the weight. Instead, he lifts his chin. The danger is real, but so is the strength of the people standing with him. Tim's truck headlights fade in the distance as he leaves, his thoughts loud inside the quiet cab. He may not show it, but the choices he must soon make are heavy. There's a war inside him between the man he has been and the man he wants to be. And episode 10 pushes him closer to that breaking point. Lou watches from the window, aware that tomorrow will demand more from her than today did. Leadership, motherhood, responsibility, they don't slow down. But neither does her determination. She knows the future of Heartland rests in more than just her hands. It rests in the courage of everyone who calls this place home. As the final scene unfolds, the camera pulls back from the ranch, revealing a sky full of stars, wide, open, endless. It mirrors the future waiting for the Heartland family, full of possibilities, challenges, and choices no one can fully predict. And that's the brilliance of episode 10. It doesn't offer answers. It hands the characters and the viewers a question. What does forgiveness free you to become? The episode ends quietly, but the impact is anything but quiet. Each character stands on the edge of their next step. And when the next chapter begins, everything they've faced, every truth, every wound, every moment of courage will shape the story of what Heartland becomes. The weekend arrival of episode 10 on CBC Gem isn't just another release. It's the beginning of a turning point. A reminder that even the strongest hearts must sometimes break, so they can grow into something braver. If you'd like, I can combine all 6 sections into one seamless full script, or help you create a shorter or more dramatic faceless version for your video.